So basically, the answer is a bit complex. It's basically a yes and a no and a maybe. And Pakistan's ecosystem is nascent. It's coming up and it's doing very, very, very low. As per the conflict with India, we've just seen that on a state level, we're quite capable of not just defense, but offense in cyberspace. But coming to the startup angle, as it is nascent, I believe that the current trainings and the current implementations are good from an industry standpoint, but need to evolve for the future. So everybody wants to talk about certifications and ISO implementations and data centers and firewalls. But as far as I know and see, I think I look towards the future, which some are actually doing with blockchain implementation and a couple of compliance startups. What about AI-based firms? What about next generation quantum computing that might break current encryption? Nobody's thinking about that. And I mentioned that specifically because we're in a hub where we're in between multiple regional powers, China, India, and as we've already seen, there's a lot of interest in what we do. So I think that a lot of very good and interesting things are being done to help startups in the current policy, especially TTS telecommunication policy for I think it was 2023 to 2026. That was actually quite brilliantly done and very well implemented. And helping startups grow and understand in that sort of an environment is something the state could actually help with. Helping train cyber warfare or cybersecurity teams, right? Giving them free internships, stuff like that in startups coming up through wonderful centers such as this, the NIC, others across Pakistan, whether it's public or private. Right? So these things could be done. They're very low level things to implement. They'll have a huge impact. So I think that for expansion into the global sphere, as well as the current state of technology, Pakistan is doing well for what it has. And I think there's a huge capability that Pakistan can ensure its startups get when going for the next steps in the revolution. Thank you.
I would like to call upon Mr. Raza Ahmed Sotera. Yes, going back. So, Mr. Sotera, I would like to start with you. As you know, Pakistan's IT export reached nearly $2.6 billion last year. Yet that's a fraction of our today. What specific new policy or initiative is being designed to scale this figure to $5 billion plus in the coming year? And how can young startups play a role in that?
All right, thank you. I was not expecting question immediately because I came last, so I think the other panelists should be given the answer. But good to see everyone, and sorry for being late. But the question is around the figure of $5 billion, And while we do understand today the actual exports are more than that, one. But secondly, the way we are trying to work around for the last 12 months, the way we have been asked by Prime Minister and from all the relevant quarters, the leadership, the key decision makers, that whatever we need to do, whatever intervention we are proposing, that need to be KPI based against the $15 billion mark in next 5 years. So we sat down with different stakeholders. We tried to understand for the $15 million, if we are let's take the base figure of $3.2 billion and have an estimation of around 600,000 HR in whole sector today. 600,000 includes freelancer as well, IT professional as well, the startup companies, everything. But to go to $15 million in next 5 years, the number one question is the HR, the capacity. And do we have? Let me quote a couple of figures here around out of that slide deck, which is always which is always coming back to us, and we have repeatedly asked with the same slide as a starter in front of Prime Minister and everyone. And we got the good consultants from SCT on board as well to help us understand that how we can translate that into a $15 billion roadmap. The skills and capacity development remain the number one thing there. In whole, elaborated slide deck of 60, 70 slides, the whole strategy framework. So to go to that $15 billion, what we have been asked by the leadership to focus 4 key areas. I am now just talking about skills and capacity development. We need to produce more freelancers, more product-oriented resources. We do need services-oriented resources, but with the combination of AI and all the tools coming on way, which is intervening. And that's kind of a 13,000 feet view of the whole scenario. The situation, if I look from my desk, so I am working as Director of Skills and Capacity Development for last 3 years. I have been looking at policy area for since 2018, the post-COVID growth, during COVID, whatever the 47% growth we posed, I was part of that policy, policy driving team, where we were trying to understand ye kaam aa kahan se raha hai. And the number one business was landing out of the way, where Indian, because of Bangalore being closed, the business was diverted there in Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad. Now, for these 5-7 years trend, when we analyze whatever is happening for last 12 months and what would be happening in next 6 months, the situation is very, let me use the term scary. I would like to justify the stance here with analysis which we have been trying to do upon the data. In data says that like 90-95% we are services oriented export companies. We're not product oriented. We don't have patients like Shahrukh has, and they can incubate to one program, they can go for other, they can have some couple of years patient to develop something, then go for the revenue profitability models. The 90% services oriented companies are actually are from where they are getting the business. This is very interesting provision. They are getting business 57% out of US. Whenever I'll be interacting to US guys, they'll tell me there are 3 biggest buyers in US: federal government, provincial government, and then of course MNC, Google, Microsoft. They have to do. We are the least real estate vendors there. So फिर काम कहाँ से आ रहा है? That was the number one question. So it means we are getting second hand, third hand, fourth hand work, but how we need to enable ourselves to develop and convert ourselves into product oriented resources. That's the number one worry. Whenever I sit with a CEO out of Lahore, Islamabad, and I'll talk about the skills and the resources, the number one worry is that from that easy money to go to that hard journey, if it's day zero, that started today. So we missed a lot of trains. We have been behind. We missed the transition of the emerging technologies or whatever you call it. But this AI wave, I think that is again कि Allah Taala ने हमें दोबारा एक मौका दिया. A line is there. Everyone is standing on that zero ground, and we have to have race with all the competitors again. The more we can focus and we can develop our capability in converting ourselves into those skilled products, skilled resources, that can be, I think, our way forward. I think we are having Kadir and Shahrukh and individuals from the who are actually running the business and who understand the figures, the term sheets, and when those term sheets would be put in front of the investor, how they would react. I always need to be careful while giving a deep analysis, just keeping the emotion one side, but also the hard reality on the other side. That what is our best figure we would be able to put in front of the investor, even if Saudis came to the city. They came here, they are here, and we requested everyone to develop the pitch deck and bring to the Saudis to tell us what they need in terms of investment. So I think we need to work a lot on this side. We need to understand where world is going. We need to understand why there is a news about Cream exiting, but there is a competitor which is turning into profit. We do have other of case studies, but in terms of the investment, of course, the one thing which interests rest of the world is our HR, our talent, which is there, and we are working around, with a lot of intervention on the HR. That's what government is taking care. But on the other side, when you are going to sell yourself, government can provide you the space and everything, branding. But if you haven't invested a good amount of money in your own collateral, that cannot help the skill or capacity development initiatives. So to sell yourself is the best thing which you guys know, which we have to really think about it. I am being very careful, frankly, but the kind of collaterals we look at, the kind of analysis we are having, even from the couple of one of the big four who did analysis for us, situation is not very good in terms of selling ourselves. I think we need to work on it on this vertical.
So I'm sure there are a lot of people who want to it, and they should know these things whenever they're in the market. What are the things that they should actually look for? Now I'll move towards the Mr. Badir. So the global AI race accelerating in Pakistan, now launching its first national AI policy hub. What's the one thing you need to get right to actually compete at a global level?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk on this topic. I think I have been working with AI since 2019, and we are a product company, not backed by any investors. We are a successful business, and I've been involved in the policy making with government on the national AI policy. The main problem is not only the policy side and regulatory sides. The main thing is the main problem or the main threat that is coming towards all of us is what Raza actually mentioned, is that AI is going to take over the services industry. And we need to shift the parameter towards so we need to shift the parameter towards the products. And the reason US में या बाकी countries में specifically being in the US आपको बहुत ज़्यादा products मिल जाते हैं, उसकी वजह ये है कि उनका failure ratio of product भी बहुत ज़्यादा है. So I know कि हम लोग की अपनी कंपनी के अंदर हम लोगों ने 4 projects जो हैं प्रोडक्ट्स के ऊपर शुरू किए पे होते हैं रिसर्च के ऊपर, और 10-20 मिलियन एवरेज हमारी एनुअल बर्न आउट हो रहा होता है उसके ऊपर ऑन द साइड. लेकिन नो कंपनी इन पाकिस्तान, नो बिजनेस इन पाकिस्तान कैन बर्न एक्सेसिव अमाउंट इनटू रिसर्च, क्योंकि आपको रिसर्च करके पता लगता है कि आपका ये प्रोडक्ट सक्सेसफुल होगा या नहीं होगा. मोस्ट ऑफ द कंपनीज, इवन 95% कंपनीज ऑफ पाकिस्तान आर इन द सर्वाइवल मोड के बस सर्विस दो, पैसे ले लो, दैट्स द प्योर बिजनेस, सेफ साइड. ठीक है, प्रोडक्ट इज नॉट अ सेफ साइड, प्रोडक्ट रिस्क साइड. यूएस में तो गवर्नमेंट नीड्स टू टेक इनिशिएटिव. आई वाज सिटिंग विद मिनिस्टर एज वेल प्रीवियसली, तो वी वर हैविंग अ डिस्कशन कि भाई आप लोग अगर रिसर्च फंड्स नहीं दोगे, ठीक है, R&D पूरी दुनिया में R&D, आप R&D फंड नहीं दोगे कंपनीज को, तो कंपनीज अपने पास से कितना बर्न कर लेंगी. सो यही होगा, 5% कंपनीज कर लेंगी हमारे जैसी, वो सक्सेसफुल भी हो जाएंगी, उनके पास प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट अच्छा होगा. 95%, अच्छा मजे की बात यह है कि जो 95% कंपनीज दे आर गिविंग सर्विसेज, ऐसा नहीं है कि इनके पास प्रोडक्ट्स नहीं है. ऑल ऑफ देम विल बी हैविंग अ शेल्फ प्रोडक्ट, और वन नहीं, मल्टीपल. सो देयर नीड्स टू बी अ होल इकोसिस्टम डाइवर्जन. जिस तरफ ये जाएगा तो वील बी सेफ, वरना स्किल सेट देने का, बाकी चीजें देने का कोई फायदा नहीं है. बहुत ज्यादा चीजें एआई बहुत क्विकली कवर अप कर रहा है. इट्स गोइंग इन द क्रेजीएस्ट डायरेक्शन आई हैव सीन. मतलब ये ऐसी चीज है बहुत अरसे बाद जिसका इम्पैक्ट हॉरिजॉन्टल भी है और वर्टिकल भी है. इससे पहले जितनी भी चीजें थी, या वो हॉरिजॉन्टली इम्पैक्ट करती है या वो वर्टिकल. तो ये दिस इज समथिंग that is impacting each and every industry, from education to IT to travel agency to restaurant, anything you pick up, each and everything, each and every domain, it is like disrupting it. So we need to see that, and we need to prepare accordingly.
In ourselves according to the AI, otherwise our jobs won't be.
Exactly.
Anyone wants to share the people?
Oh. Thank you. Right. So one of the things that was shared by was an estimated inside the president initiative to market that this hasn't. So one of the points raised was that the AI is seeing more than the policy, predicting and predicting a lot of service people are going to be out of jobs. So, a friend of mine is coming up with automated call center software that doesn't require any human being. Uh, a lot of people in the West are currently working in call center. Yeah, that's great. And a lot of them are outsourced to India, Pakistan, Vietnam, Thailand. They would be back. But on the flip side, I mean, there's a whole bunch of other stuff as well. We could say voters, we could say a lot of things. On the flip side, there's a modeling from the atmosphere from China coming here. So, to the point where I stopped taking on new contracts at all because it's my quality. Basically, there are a lot of good tools out there. And what they do is they have a certain frame, a certain template which follow, and certain, how should I say, software versions, certain techniques, stuff like that, and it's integrated into them. And it doesn't need to be efficient, it doesn't need to be secure, even if you ask them to people have personally tried to have. It didn't really work out, usually the OAPs, 10 vulnerability slips. What I did that, the non-technical founder who refuses to spend money on coders brings up an app to bring up something. He doesn't believe secure coding is a thing in Pakistan. In the what I've seen at least, secure coders are not considered as important. But the launch we have, and this has happened in the last 5 years to at least 1,000 different companies to do it easily. Their IP gets stolen, so they call us the encryption isn't properly done, the data is improperly done. Default username passwords that are put in. Very easy to mitigate vulnerabilities that put in by those software. Yeah, and on both sides, and when that IP gets leaked, competitor comes up with a better version, but it's also leaked. So it's an entire circle that keeps going on. So when I talk to people like these, which is going to be used by and talk the one of these contracts, is if you by keep a new relation obviously opening up. Right? So I think that's it's very important to take the technical aspect of this as very serious. It's one of the things that I see not in Pakistan globally that nobody seems to understand how viciously important it is to secure itself from easy to exploit vulnerabilities. So that was the only point that I wanted to speak of that.
We have Ms. Pulvera, who is founder of Red Meter Systems and Humpire Ventures and Network Innovation. Sorry. Red Market Systems and Humpire Ventures and Network Innovation and Investor. Building tools for scalable impact. Thanks so much for being here. After talking about AI, we should talk about you and our children. So I'll move towards Ms. Hosea. You have built and backed startups. What's the biggest reason promising Pakistani startups struggling to scale to raise follow-up investment? And what's one fix that would unlock growth?
Thank you so much. I think what Bharat was mentioning initially that we have service-based companies, mostly they are working with us, right? The product development is a very capital intensive, which is like very less likely to be in Pakistan. We have developed very four products, which is the whole value chain assessment sector, right? Starting from the production development till it would start from initially doing investment, as an investing in the area of how much can be out. They can still when you go to the, when you're working on something which is unique and which is not there already, and you're the first mover in that biggest space, it takes your own time to kind of reach to that certain level. So, for example, we were in one of street market for descriptive focus, and there was no one in Pakistan who was doing any kind of work in this market. क्योंकि जनरेशन को हमारे यहाँ बड़ा सेक्रेट समझा जाता है बड़ा सीक्रेट लिया जाता है फिर आप अगर जितना उसको खोलेंगे उतनी वो वगैरह आपके आप blue posters उसके निकलते हैं so this was the way which we started working on and we started with 6,000 exams only around 5 years back. Now we have not more than 150 million Russian online. We have trained more than 7,000 women with us, those who are working remotely with us, 100 professional development in the seconds. But again, when it comes to that enabling environment where you're supposed to go to the next level. So let's say we have raised investment. After that, what is the next level where the government is actually there, where your technology zones are there, maybe partial is there, or any other enabling environment where you can actually go. For example, I went to US on the IAC program, which is the International Crystal Leadership Program. And I was the only entrepreneur skeptic there. So, वहाँ जाने के लिए जो system है, that system is actually बेशक कोई system starting level पे है या system है senior level पे है या scale level पे है series level. So that system is actually guiding. It's not about that you have to go and find your own way. आप काम करेंगे या अपना रास्ता ढूंढना. यहाँ पे भी रास्ता ढूंढना है, काम भी तुम करते हैं, तुम लगे खाने स्ट्रगल तुम करें. वास्तव में बिजनेस रिजल्ट भाग. तो वो जिहाद कितना हम कर सकते हैं, कितनी हमारी एनर्जी है जिहाद करने की, जो भी है. Other than this technology part, Pakistan में जैसे आप किसी because we work on digitalization and standardization side of evaluation. तो जब आप किसी के पास आते हो तो सबसे पहली बात क्वेश्चन AI से हो जाएगा सारा काम. So you have not started ABC, you're asking me XYZ can go जाएगा.
Yeah, human has to do it.
So you have to make it phase wise. It's not a one step job. Yeah, make us use सारे human को हमारे experiment सारा काम. I think there needs to be a stepwise approach from the government also, from the organization. But I'm not saying mostly negative things, I guess. Like, I think there needs to be a stepwise approach. Plus, there are many who have taken that approach and working on that capacity. maybe a first initiative लिया और उसमें हमसे काम भी किया. But उससे दूसरा मसला क्या होता है? When you are first mover advantage, तो काम के मुकाबले में कौन आ रहा है गवर्नमेंट. So on one side, the Punjab Examination Commission is my client. On the other side, Punjab Examination Commission is my competitor. So how do I compete with the government? See, we all talk about private, public-private partnership की बात करते हैं, private sector strengthening की बात करते हैं, women empowerment की बात करते हैं, but we don't need to say that कि यार कितनी हम सबको अगर कितना तो private sector का और किस तरह से strengthen. So most of, for example, in case of federal court, for example, in case of Punjab Examination Commission, आप सारे आपके competitor हैं. किस से आप कहाँ लड़ाई करें? तो we need to see कि हमने किस चीज को कैसे rightly move करना, redirect कैसे करना है. Government का क्या काम है? Strategy बनाना और उसको implement करना, not कि वो तो बनाना शुरू कर दें solutions. Just like we all know के outcome बना रहे हैं. I just stop it.
Thank you so much. Especially there must be a lot of founders जो कि business अपना start करना चाहते हैं. They should know the real picture because हमें paper में बहुत सी चीजें नजर आती हैं, but implementation इस तरह नहीं होती. Now moving towards you, Ursula, as you are working in the edtech sector and we are catering there. So Pakistan has 26 million plus out of school children and low digital penetration in school. What role can edtech startup play beyond digitalization to actually fix their learning experience? And are we solving any real education problems or just fixing trends?
I'm sorry, mine. I had very good mind with me. We are trying to not chase trends and actually go for things that make a difference. So currently from our experience, what we have seen is that the issue is not about getting the technology to the students. The issue is about having that basic infrastructure in place for the students to access that technology. So what I mean by that is that we have a great platform that we're working on. Our product, which is putting STEAM unified learning platform. Now, the places where we work in, which is like Zara built, when you go to schools over there, the issue isn't about the student understanding what the platform is about. The issue is very grassroots, where the school does not have electricity, or the school wouldn't have computers. they don't have computer labs, or if they do have computers, then they don't have enough computers for all the students. Or they don't have a stable internet, or they might not have internet at all. So this is one of the major issues. The second major issue that we have faced and experienced is about teachers, about the educators. A lot of times, most often, we forget that, teachers are under-resourced, they're underpaid, they're overworked, and we expect them to then go and teach the students, we expect them to teach the students digitization, coding, STEAM, digital safety and security as well, and they themselves have not been trained. So there's a huge gap over there. So unless we really train our educators, then they can't go and teach and train the students. So I think for the next chapter in EdTech should be one where we have more policies, where we keep all of these grassroots problems in mind and address these first, rather than just building on technology. Because there's a lot of technology and a lot of tech products already out there. But in order to implement these, we need to fix these grassroots issues. Thank you so much.
Why do we all talk about school facing topics? Why are we not talking about getting millions of schools? So, just school जा रहा है वही आपको school में नंबर why because they are unable to create their interest in the studies. And जब उनको एक basic interest, it's not about technology or basic interest अगर उसको नहीं होगा तो कोई बच्चा भी आगे झुकी ना जाएगा 26 million वाला नंबर बढ़ता रहेगा we need to make a parallel activity parallel what do you call it effort those kind of guys is we work on donor driven side क्योंकि donor driven तो आपको चल रहा है तो आपको चल रहा है इसलिए हम सुधार तो donor भी है अगर हमने local dynamics को हमने ground dynamics को इसमें भी नहीं बात की Teacher training आपको क्या decide कैसे होगी किस तरीके से किस तरह से टीचर करनी है वो चीज education of सरकार का अपने इसलिए education की training का track on है guide work करना and you cannot imagine the level of training they are having. अब उस level of training पे जिस पे we are spending billions वो level of training पे स्कूल में जाके आप level नहीं हो फिर what I stopped going to panel discussions. When you're talking about the ground cases, I can give you 110% insight past the education sector. They're working in the sector simple learning styles. जब पॉलिसी बनाते हैं स्टेक होल्डर को साथ में बिठाते हैं जब पॉलिसी बनाते हैं आप लोगों को साथ में बिठाते हैं जिसके ऊपर आप इंप्लीमेंट नहीं करते हैं टीचर्स और स्टेक होल्डर और नहीं how do you expect कि policy बनते कि कितना बेहतरीन रिजल्ट क्या है उस सारे काम भी सेट कर देते हैं no magic step action we have to understand that these things are real and we have to work on these things currently.
So I just want to make a clear first of all, thank you so very much for bringing this point up. Second, please come to current question. It's very, very important. But yeah, the point you highlighted for the 50 million were not in education. I would actually like I don't. Everybody wants to focus on, and I think not just from the cybersecurity perspective, but from a tech and general business perspective. Nobody focuses on 30, 35 plus people. Okay, everybody wants to focus on the youth, they want to become an opportunity, need certifications for all the people. There are other people, so I don't want to take names. I know people who spend money to get 50-year-old into programs. This can just keep learning for free. Okay, and they do it from I guess from the bottom of their heart. Yeah. So with training institutes, okay, they have 40 students and the students expert was keep it up. And they make sure that the needy people who is learn. This is an initiative every very important. Everybody keeps saying that there are no jobs, there are no opportunities, but create an environment that you said. And this is the one way people mark up and your rank of kids if we put it, we invest in perspective, will it help the next evolution, the next step? I believe that is where Maharaj and us, where we are really lacking. Everybody, anywhere, so pretty much every week, every week, startup meet to get for last year and the previous year. We get every week speaks about teenagers, or young adults, or under 30s. Yet, if you look at any people startup which competition, they'll tell that. Yet, you have a nation. So my question there is, are people who cannot really say possible or are older in the nation, are they not able to really? So yeah, from an education perspective, I think this is a very important point. It can be very important. And it's something from a so I look at the Israeli point of view very carefully, right? So they dominate cybersecurity, and it's one of the reasons why they dominate technology. It's also one of the reasons why they dominate business. They dominate business because they give each other a lot of understanding, and they dominate from a tech perspective. Why can't we do that? It's simple because I believe somebody asked me once, say, what is the one thing you like to teach? Well, look at the look at the Chinese, look at the industry, give each other favors, and then build their own capacity before the next one. Yeah, and this, when you examine this, this is very, very important. But building upon that, so this is the rest of the population who might be uneducated, but they might have ideas or insights and it will not. Like I don't want to go into too many personal details, but very, very soon, everybody in Pakistan and India are going to find out that guards and PMs and whatever, they know more than most senior officers because they tend to be in rooms and they're not seen. We tend to educate those people who have that intelligence, who have that understanding, and giving them an opportunity to shine, who would actually celebrate whatever we're trying to achieve. And I don't want to get too extent.
I just want to quickly add to both of them, to me, the sheet about everybody, sort of working in their own vertical, their own. And I think that's also a big inherent to our direct investment. I spent a lot of time, in fact, I went to be Western Australia and Pakistan. And what I see there in the ecosystem is that they have such a strong feedback loop between, startup founders, the government, policymakers, which we really lack here. Because although everybody's doing great work, but they're doing it in parallel with build to overcome. And I think if we all strive to change that in whatever little capacity we can, then we can actually go towards making a difference.
The feedback is collaborative effort from various different lenses because some schools go over as a business can start earlier. We're not actually educating children, we're just like missions are it. We have these much children. Bills are being paid, nothing at all. So if we have teachers who are being integrated, so I feel like it's a collaborative effort between all stakeholders to make our children move forward. Now I'll move towards Sharo. So Mr. Sharo, health tech is a notoriously tough sector. Where does Pakistan stand today in the global AI landscape? And what areas are we realistically positioned to be or grow in?
Okay, thank you for having me here. So the thing is that we and entrepreneurship in Pakistan is just a very second one is product development on the second level versus service. Service is not a shame, but generally these are considered a building product. So we are superior, like those of the services. Those services also the part of those business that's hard. Or even on healthcare, like if you're working in the healthcare, tax is even the hardest. Or where they are regulatory involved like FDA and there are other regulatory because where the patient like when life is then stay with it.
So I will just give, very quick, when I came in this business, so I had some common good here. So actually, 2000 and I've been in healthcare for more than 7 years. So that's why, I lost my knowledge there and created knowledge. You can see my face like diabetic, hypertension, in the age of 34, 35. So that's,
We can see your work.
yeah, thank you so much. So first, really, with Liberty, few minutes and just observe, definitely there's a part of development need patients. And in healthcare, this journey is even longer. And before, I also would like to add, like, what the challenge is that we are having, when we are facing in Pakistan. I am able people at this moment, like, we are three businesses, one is the healthcare, that AI-based diagnostics, helping the radiologists with a 33% more accurate, in the world for management, in the cancer diagnostics, like, system that we now we are in the US. Other businesses in the industry operations, we are already serving the all MNC, locally and globally. Third is also like serving the services. The problem with the Pakistan is, we talk about the numbers, like, we have these numbers from this IT sectors. There most of these numbers are coming through freelancing, we call it digital skill set we are selling, right? And on the other side, if we look to for labor India, so like what would they have? Like what strategy they place their people in a good position globally? Because that is the marketplace. At this moment, as we have said, like we are getting second or third tier work in Pakistan. Because we don't have any strategy placement, unfortunately, globally. Here, I would say, again, with my guidance part is a little bit outdated. Apologies for that because I think for 4 years, I'm totally disconnected from Pakistan ecosystem. Just talking about this, I think as per my data, the stretch activity is my data by 2022. I'm not sure if anything changed after 2022. So first thing is that, like, for example, like we said, PhDs, like for studies, then wherever we go, you have to come Pakistan, so Pakistan, even we don't have the jobs for them, right? Even like if these people, if we allow them to stay outside and get some strategic position in some purchases or good companies, just like anything else, because now they are in a good position in the good companies, now they're serving back to their country. Second, and like last year we were talking about great great. Like the capital people like her and she was from Australia as she said. So capital, like, people if they are leaving the country, so they are doing somewhere where they are sitting in the marketplace. So they can be in some strategic position someday and then they can bring the business toward the Pakistan. I think these are the negatives we all talk about, like in our system. If someone is going outside, we should work as a government, as an ecosystem, we should make some connection between them. Because like I am capital, if I go outside, so there I will all struggle just to settle myself into my career. So if we connect them with your ecosystem, they will strategy every 10 year, every 5 year, all these brains are the right way. So they can get connected with the content ecosystem and definitely track the tier first business. They start coming in Pakistan. So this is something like we will be landing. Other thing is that most product obviously investors because the Alexa we already have done multiple rounds. So why is Alexa and many companies like the deep tech and the high value product out there, available in invest for Europe and companies. So because I think by 2018 till 2022, we started the big of our ecosystem maps and very preferred as Pakistani company to raise money, the US market and the other market. And we were struggling the reason collected. The first reason was definitely the credibility that the Pakistan company that foreign investors they don't trust, like in the Pakistan. They say, well, one day here that act will set the the line and it attack it, like all the money will be, vanished. Other thing is that our policies, when investor invest in Pakistan and, after some time, the profit, you want to take it back. So definitely there's a lot of challenges in our, like policies, which is very hard for them. Third thing is that, like, as an investor, he invested in my businesses in the local ecosystem, invested in $100,000, and the dollar rate value is 100 rupees per dollar. And one year I worked very hard as an entrepreneur, and in this 1 year, like I got 50% profit. So in first I converted to 100,000, we converted it to 8 crore. So when I worked very hard and made these 8 crore in 1.8 crore, right? Million. And when I tried to return it, so the now dollar gave me 175. So instead of getting 100,000, you will get 90,000, they gave 5,000 back. So where was the mistake? He invested, I worked hard, we did business, right? And he took back the money, definitely it was very good. So this is the reason, just because of these policies, companies just like the Alexa, they're all going outside, they're getting money there. So I think that the three thoughts like we have to connect, particularly if we want to do something strategy. I think it won't happen maybe tomorrow, maybe next month. So if we take some strategic decisions, it will make the trust was for the product, on scale of the product, and investment is the key. But unfortunately, in Pakistan, there is lack of those such as investment. If there are few where they ask you, give us everything again, so we're just panic. So this is also unfortunate because they don't know the real value of the company or the tech businesses. So now come to the healthcare guest is the developer. The reason is that, like, when health is concerned, so international, locally, that is different when you go with international, there's a lot of regulatories. So it's not a lot of cost. So the trust, like for example, if we travel in the airplane, the autopilot, like we can travel because we know someone is sitting in the cockpit, it's fine. But as this AI, nobody has this point to be a patient going to there are 100 AI, we friends. So these are the factors we by investors. They also, have the less faith in the AI worker in the healthcare because we also believe healthcare is very critical. And the last thing, sorry, we won't take that much time. The very last thing is that in the very few investors that are going to invest in the healthcare sector, the good thing is the outcome is, very high value. Recently, we raised $1 billion in the US, very, very handsome, and very handsome, like a company. And as compared to my other company, which is in like industry automation, that is also AI product, which is generating very good revenue yearly. But on the other side, that company's valuation is less as compared to my healthcare, which is actually generating almost 0.1% maybe revenue, like per total need yearly. So this is the upside of the healthcare. Like if you get successful, then you get a good valuation.
There's a lot to take from your conversation, and especially for someone who's trying to innovate regulated sectors. Sector is really important. It's like one of the top tier things that we should actually consider.
एक पॉइंट मुझे ऐड करना था सॉरी मैंने माइक पकड़ा आपको लगा उधर कोई बोला the one point which you mentioned that service करना चाहिए it's not a shameful thing. Recently I got a chance to look at a checklist. There were around 98, 99 questions of KPMG's regional office, where those questionnaire was if you want to do work with them for the services, that checklist was to be complied. And I wonder how many out of are like we do have 10,000 plus members, 7,000 plus active members in PSCP. Those the 29,000 are I think SCCP registered ID companies. So out of this data, how much these companies would be able to comply that? This is the number one question. Now again, the government is the one part, but on the other hand, how much while doing the work for the services and getting the money in dollars, how much these companies were open to reinvest in themselves to make themselves qualifiable as a pre-listed vendor with these organizations. The number one problem is that, and no one is looking at that side. That's a very big problem. One. Secondly, I think even complying with to get listed with these companies, ये भी उतना ही सबर वाला काम है जितना प्रोडक्ट बनाने वाला है. So in the end, the whole transition, whole journey is just taking a pause, reevaluating ourselves, and then redefining our target. That's what I would say.
Outside our corporate group correspondent to join us, and we waited for quite some time. So, Pakistan is ranked on the top 10 countries in the world in governments, but we want to break this to lead development. What would it take to lift that ladder and become a lead?
Firstly, can you tell me that was the first one I did?
ब्लू लाइट का वो ये तो एक माइक है वो
Share some insights because I think the whole picture seems very big. Yeah, and but gaming is a very interesting and evolving industry. I'm sure you guys, if you don't play any game or children or people in the house do, so it's agnostic. It doesn't require any language barrier. It's very intuitive, and that allows this industry to grow. It's I think the biggest industry bigger than entertainment, music combined together. So 250 plus $1 billion. And I think Pakistan is doing pretty well for its size in terms of the market. We will look at it in two parts. The first is Pakistan as a potential market for any big publisher. I represent Tencent Games as one of the biggest companies in the world in gaming, and they look at Pakistan as a big market because of its potential for them to create the mass appeal for the game. So that's where we've seen that a lot of people consume gaming. And when it comes to talent, we've seen a lot of studios emerging, and they are very successful projects in the services industry. But one of the twists that we have is that if you develop a game, it becomes a product. And this product can be developed by anybody sitting in his house. And for them to develop this, there's of course a need for coherent, approach. This means all the prime stakeholders to come together. And I think there's a lack of structured talent because when you're competing globally, publishing a game and accepting it to become a member hit or generate revenue, the time to market is a very essential thing. And for that, I think agility is something that lacks in Pakistan. So we need a structured approach towards training people. That's the first thing. I think aesthetics is something that is very important in a game, which is missing generally in the Pakistani audience. I think we need to improve on that as well. Talking about how we can impact this globally, I think we need to focus on specific gaming startups that are able to produce a gaming product. And that seems very difficult, but it's very easy. You might have seen some of the children who come to a really small game, which a typical studio might have developed in 10 to 12 days or 15 days. And you just need a bunch of talented people to come together and deliver that project and create a product. So for overall uplifting of the gaming industry, I think the core essence is structured training approach towards the talent. We've seen a lot of talent in Pakistan. Just to give an example, we have a global product which is called Wow. It's World of Wonders, where anybody can submit maps in our game. And we set aside $5 million for this globally, and Pakistanis are taking 40% of this. They're one global award, so talent is immense. And this talent needs to be nurtured by structured content that is delivered to them so that they are able to understand how we talked about in and how AI is going to come. I think initially AI is going to assist a lot of people in jumping over the processes and getting that initial burst to quickly enter a market. And that's assisted in terms of reducing the time it takes for anybody to become relevant. So I think if we are there at this point where one of the panelists mentioned that we can be at the starting point for looking at the AI race, this is this is where in gaming we can generally take a very big advantage and make the best of it.
Thanks so much for sharing your insight. And I also got to know that gaming industry is larger than film and human industry. So there is like it's a big industry, and our youth and everyone is so interested. I remember one of my colleagues, he was part of some competition and he couldn't qualify for it because there was bad internet issue in Pakistan. So I think so on global level, we also need to see that we provide the good fitness level because gaming is all about good internet speed. That's how we can really.
There's something called ping in the game. So our internet structures are lacking, but surprisingly, few things from Pakistan have recently qualified for global event. Considering that the flex actions are so faster than others that they've been able to beat that set quantity moving. So that's something that we have. And I also think that we mentioned about the industry. If you pick the top grossing movie of all time or avatars combined, it's still less in business than GTA or these games. So it's a very new industry, and a lot of the youngsters need to have maybe curriculum design at the at the bachelor's, or even if they've not done bachelor's, they still become part of this industry. So how do we equip them? That's where structured approach is required.
So I just want to comment on what I said. Okay. So as I was saying, there should be engagement as to when somebody gets an education and goes to both ways. So I used to live in Canada and so over here, even children in that grade 4 or grade 5 used to be able to get software to game with. Okay. And that was not just from government perspective, that was also from private investors who someone started owning the company and he sponsored the entire event. And then getting people hear stuff. And my university, cooperative university, used to do the same thing. That even here, that's the part is that so okay, bachelor's will be on platforms, but what about younger? And the thing is that there needs to be a cultural shift. So from the perspective, because it is about number game with another game together. Yeah. And the thing is we game खेलेंगे हम करेंगे क्या ठीक है तो by the end of the other and when you want to go out to the street. So there needs to be a good shift and coming to Sharon's whatever Sharon said. I have a lot of things to say today, but one of my mentors was pretty critical. So the point to bring here is look at the Chinese model and the South Korean model, but especially the Chinese model. When I was in the UK, students used to come over there, they used to tell us, we used to sit aside in what we kind of call they used to tell us, listen to your young lady, and they used to tell you what to do and what not to do to represent China better. And that's actually how the Japanese did it as well, and they got a wonderful international. Our wonderful Prime Minister Shivaji, he said something. He said, "You all are ambassadors of Pakistan. Everybody is an ambassador, right?" So, from an education perspective, from a policy perspective, from the political industry, as well as the government, as well as the prison, we should treat ourselves as ambassadors. So, for example, children are making these games. Somebody who knows somebody in Google, Canada, the US, or whatever, they can say, hey, this is what I saw. And I've seen wonderful people from multiple countries to this, right? They promote themselves. So, promoting, because abroad, there is an issue of equality that's there as well. You will feed each other, you will help each other, there will be that, right? So this is the perspective that needs to happen. So if you will see, but there seem many very mild perspective that bird can bring out a whole different evolution to the sphere that Pakistan is trying to achieve. And this is what I see that can be learned on the human trend on the impact. For a whole lot of right, that's it. You?
I also think that there needs to be a radical shift in the education system as a whole. Because right now, you know, a percent that you know, they join the workforce at maybe 24, right? That's when they're skilled. But if we just take away the traditional system, because now things are moving at such a fast pace, with, you know, AI, maybe now they don't, like, the prerequisite to enter into the job market shouldn't be to have like a four-year bachelor's degree or master's degree. Maybe you should concentrate more on just having skills, which they can then apply and work, so that they can be productive faster and quicker and younger. Or even older people can learn new skills and enter.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the interesting part, because whenever you're opting for a job, your sales manager, your reason.
Exactly.
So, thanks very much for saying that. Okay, that's the points, but, exactly that's the very not just computer, but in the very beginning, when I got ambushed with the first question. So, I tested something that I felt that, basically, people who are graduating from cybersecurity programs that are government funded, free, or whatever you want to call it, they should be given internships in such organizations that are startups. One, to get their skill set, two, so they want to do that. Right? Three, they build the connection. And the networking is four, you basically give them a first start in the career. And I want to talk about being you know, one of some of the best how to say cybersecurity people are actually kids, right? Under 13, under 15. Because I don't know, I guess it's a technological thing, maybe they are very, very focused. But it could be something. So if you give digital skills early, you give cyber skills early, you make it game skills early, and you create the atmosphere. I think I will lead to a wonderful conclusion the next step is we want to take over. Yeah.
Just to add to this, that we have in case of education system, we have developed firewall systems. So in case primary and elementary, there are system bodies who are actually there to basically the learning labs and instruments. And then when they come to class 9 onwards to secondary, they are getting the exams exactly in the education spec. And so there is a complete shift. Actually, about the learning labs, transfer to cover children and just spending many of them. 9th से लेकर second year तक you are there with आप इस question checkers. Assessment really shapes the way teachers and teaching instruments are there. If we want that shift to be done in the students' learning, we have to see that how to be assessment. It has to be formative, it has to be, summative, or what needs to be done. क्या diagnosis are there in a class, improve the learning outcomes. That is one side. Another side, as Shahrukh already mentioned, that we need to have, focus on character development more than individual. And I think for that character development, let's say 6-7 people we are sitting here, we need to maybe connect some of the people with each other and to start with figure out first step. Again, for the career, I had a meeting with the minister. The minister was telling me herself, and she was literally about to drive. The videos and state development side. And these students who became state development, really from them. Because I was there exactly the chamber group, हमारे chamber there is 13,000 members. अगर आपने उनको need assessment के बगैर आपने ट्रेनिंग करवा दी on certain world level again. Tons and tons of skill development training done unless they're able to implement that in a job, unless they're able to perform that in a job, they're useless. So we need to see again, कहाँ से कौन से words को हमें connect करें to improve. And on a lighter side, as sorry, Shahrukh, right? Shahrukh and our hairstyle show that medical side gaming certification. What do you think that? Let's say
Thank you. Compliments to both of us. So एक चीज जो हमने ऑब्जर्व की है वो ये है कि बच्चों में गेमिंग चीज की हुई है and I think their cognitive ability won't be sensitive to many work. So education in game education is very important and we recently one of the challenges के employability now which you just raised उसमें हमने अभी लैपटॉप के साथ एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूट के साथ गेम डिजाइन का एक कोर्स and we went to these places. We had participations from 10 more, right? We didn't have a barrier that you know to know chemistry and stuff. And we trained these people on designing apps. And eventually, with that skill, they would be able to open up their mobile phone and make maps which would be consumed by people. And these ecosystems that are there, this is TikTok and these, they are eventually going to pay back a certain amount of money, similar to gaming as well. So, मेरे ख्याल से education में gamification is a very easy, convenient way of getting people interested. And you started educational maths as well. This way, if you multiply something, then the door opens up, and then you go through something. So this sort of content is eventuality for the future of education. So how about the collaboration discussion on that aspect can come together? So that's the point I'm going to.
Right. So, wait, that's a point. So, well, as to your point, very well said. So, one thing we discussed in this particular, he's very good at it. Would you like to? As the things that earlier, AI is going to need a lot of things. Okay? So one house needs assessment changing in particular because I can do graphic design, I can do video design, I can do game design, I can do cybersecurity penetration testing. Okay, I like building the products with that. I know I can do, right? They can do it before question or topic. Second, the world is changing with regards to how the world is. Yeah, so there is a product week, there is a certain 3 years work week, there is a certain less contract work. So because the schooling was done as far as I know, according to the work hours of parents from the industry level, right? So my question is now this new turn of evolution that's come up and you're doing the needs assessment. Is schooling going to take hours going to take is the way of schooling itself, do you think? Has a chance of evolving.
मेरा बेटा मेरा भी obedient I did MBA like in 2011 so कोई subjects कोई marketing कोई company कोई target और he is very good better at tutorials alongside we need to understand bigger research entrepreneurship coding gaming add the game that has to be done all the time जब आपकी वो cognitive skills develop जब आप metric करिए फिर आप investigate करिए and then you are at the stage जहाँ आप अपने future के लिए कोई भी एक program कोई भी एक video choose
And the pretty sorry, but your what generic topics of like maths, biology, computer, data.
and उसको क्या करता है आपको बच्चे को career aptitude या career counseling का या कोई भी ऐसा एक guideline नहीं देते क्योंकि आप किस टाइप से जाते हैं आप किस तरह डिजाइन कर सकते हैं you're good in gaming are you good at education, or are you good at skill development, or किस टाइप का इसको अगर पाकिस्तान में कितने बोर्ड हैं एजुकेशनल बोर्ड्स जैसे इंटरनेशनली हम कैम्ब्रिज फॉलो करते हैं एक बोर्ड है पूरा पूरे में पाकिस्तान में 32
ऐसे फ्यूचर
क्लोजर 32 कोर्स का मतलब है कि आप 32 स्टैंडर्ड सेट कर रहे हैं एंड इन यूनिवर्सिटी and then उस सारे स्टैंडर्ड्स को हैदराबाद बात पे बोर्ड फेडरल बोर्ड कुमार बोर्ड लंदन बोर्ड दे कांट गेट सम सो वी नीड टू सी कि हमने डेवलप क्या किया कहाँ से प्रिपेयरिंग वर्क मेथोडोलॉजी देयर इज समथिंग व्हिच वी कैन डू I'm actually writing digital education. We really like product this for digital transformation funds. I'm heading a digital education where we are trying to work on these plots to translate plots connectively and to know how to make a policy which is inclusive, digitalization gives you know the technology gives you more. From the existing the policies हैं जो कि change हो रही हैं उनको कैसे हम change when we can see and we can connect the words because some people changes. There were these things that we started very early. वहाँ से बच्चे का interest करो और काम हमारा तो सिर्फ स्टैंड फिक्स हम अगर इसमें ज़्यादा ठीक है आजकल के रीच के ज़माने में और इसमें आप कितना रहते हैं और सेकंड कम्युनिटी हाँ आप you need to be very kind to those you know बच्चे जो आजकल के ज़माने में हैं how do we actually expect from them कि वो ये भी करेंगे why they not given a clear roadmap? Neither the impact, neither the you know, I don't understand. There is no example of shallow investments is like years of startups. Maybe we need to see that how to highlight the local success stories. Right? Maybe we are four success stories sitting here including our effects. Maybe maybe a little. And you right? So maybe we need to see how to kind of highlight the success stories, local success stories. And secondly, you also need to see हमारा जो locally see investment structure है, वो कितना strengthen. मैं एक बड़े investor हूँ मैं एक VC में तो partner जाके पैसे दूँगी. If I want to have implementing partner in Pakistan, मुझे लगा नहीं मेरे पैसे कहाँ जा रहे हैं, ऐसा लोग मुझे 100 रुपए लगाएगा, 90 रुपए वापस लेके जाएगा, उसको करते हैं. We have to see अभी ऐसा see these are rather working on this domain इसको थोड़ा सा बेहतर कर सकें या facilitate कर सकें also our image internationally is very blurred तो वहाँ पर भी काफी achievement branding को पाकिस्तान में branding soft है जब पे से बनते हैं stories से ये चीजों से आपको और तो कहीं से rocket science नहीं है you have to create that soft I agree with your point of view, and we got these schools that teachers start getting an education system. It starts to go to teacher like it because a child he has a lot of vocabulary. They start thinking of social behavior, what are things that are there in question. And just around AI progress, I feel like when start से ही AI content, AI engineering, AI teaching, higher education system and higher information. लोग समझ नहीं आते, लोग dashboards पे जाके समझ जाते हैं कि engineering ही कोई topic. And our mind is so matured by that time. Now I would like to call on stage to Danny, who is German United's IT Council. A huge round of applause for him. So would you like to add something on this topic?
Thank you very much. I'm all
So first of all, it is a privilege to sit amongst esteemed panelists and listening to so many vibrant thoughts about the existing issues within our IT infrastructure, educational system, and even the societal mindset which we need to progress to have the foreign direct investment in place through which we can empower the desired culture and mindset within our organizations, through which we can propagate success. But one thing which I would like to add here is that whatever our esteemed panelists talk about, I certainly agree with all of them. But most of the areas which we have highlighted right now, we can't have a quick win solution for that. When we talk about having 32 boards in place, so bringing the desired uniformity in the educational system, that is something which can't happen overnight. It is going to take time. Moreover, our esteemed entrepreneurs spoke about specifically geared towards the services side of things, and focusing lesser on product development. So that is something which is also going to take time. But one thing which I would like to add here is that there is something which we can do from our end and from which we can receive the desired results very quickly. And what that is that, unfortunately, if I talk about the IT realm of Pakistan, within all the organizations, be it multinational or local, the desired culture of empowerment is missing, I must say. The employees, they are specifically working in a 2S directed approach. They are not thinking out of the box. They are more concerned about how their bosses perceive them. Unfortunately, that is uh, the key cause due to which talent is getting stagnated. I would like to share many instances where an employee who, after serving a company for 5 years, realized that he should have left after serving the company for 6 months. Because when he compared himself with the global landscape, he came to know that he could not acquire the skills to keep himself abreast with the latest technological trends. Now, I won't blame that individual as a whole. That is where our companies need to think about, and especially the people who are sitting in the C-suite. Even myself, I mean, after serving the IT industry for over a decade and serving at a head of department for a multinational company headquartered in the US, I must say that the inculcation of the thought process within the mindset of our IT talent, that is still missing in Pakistan. We have compared ourselves with India. I must say that many years ago, when India was generating $142 billion annually, and at that point, I believe we were at 12 or 14 billion dollars. It is not owing to the fact that they were making the right policy. The companies had the desired support from the government, and we were focusing on war on terror. No, that's not the only reason. I must say that we must be giving credit to the senior leadership of the IT organizations within India, that they inculcated that desired mindset within their youth, due to which the likes of Satya Nadella, Sundar Pichai, who belonged to the middle class of India, they went on to become the CEOs of Googles and Microsofts. And the irony here is we don't even have a single example within Pakistan. So something is going wrong. And as for all the problems which we have discussed right now, yes, those are problems. It is a blessing that we have such people who realize that such problems exist and they need to be resolved. But those problems will take time. The thing which we can do right now is, let's start bringing the desired culture of empowerment within the IT organizations, regardless of the person who got educated from Hyderabad board, who got educated from FAST, who got educated from virtual university or LUMS. I believe that desired culture of empowerment will bring the talent which we want, and that can bring the change in Pakistan.
And we have a clear, very wonderful. There's a few things I just want to point out. Absolutely, like we they want to bring it up. That's if you were at the point. There is this culture, that might kind of hurting us from reliability standpoint, from cybersecurity perspective. We did an external subject that yeah, and that like when I have spoken to international investors or people that I did before, they were like, you think there is no guarantee that our data will be safe and anybody can access it. Right? And it's the same to India, by the way. Yeah, they just have better training. But the thing is, I was in the Amazon PC2 workshop. It's going to be international payments. He said the exact same thing, that there are regions where I do not trust my data. These were to be specifically from the definition. Yeah, so this is definitely a shift that needs to happen. But second, having worked very closely with CC detectives in Canada, I think so the Pakistani mindset, or at least the Muslim, let's call it detectives, that if you reach from reversal series, if you reach high enough, right? You have some say if the worker small business and is ignored. So when you say that there, and in India, the mindset seems to be you should reach the highest career ladder possible, no matter what. So I respectfully sort of disagree to that, but having senior and powerful Indians that would culture is much more wider than Hinduism. right? With a gesture of whatever, the boss will have the and we tend to get promotions. And the fact that the rise of is coming to abroad, that's where I personally see too. So instead, I keep it inside a class, then you go to the Reddit post, you go to the interview, you just listen. You listen to the government officers, the interview that would divide the country. The sort of mindset that they have, India, within India, and I personally see it as different. So one, it's a whole different atmosphere, as you have said, that needs to change. Again, second, we do have an we do have an entrepreneurial mindset with that's one. I see that we have a business mindset. It is a radio the public. Yeah, that seems to be the majority of everybody wants to get into. And I think one, we should promote it, two, we should try to be about that's just my thank you.
Just to complement what you just said, I would like to share my personal experience briefly. I was serving for one of the Fortune 500 companies in the past where we were working in a geographically dispersed environment. And in a team, we had members from India, Pakistan, Philippines, and US. And I would like to tell you that from my personal experience, I found the talent of Pakistan to be the best. Because when it came to meeting the deadlines, bringing the right solution, or being inquisitive at the right point, so I found Pakistanis to be better at least than Indians. But amongst the senior leadership, there were lots and lots of Indians sitting and making all the policies and structures, but there was no single Pakistani. So I went on to discuss it with the senior management of Pakistan. So they told me that this is something which many else have observed. And there are only two reasons for that. That firstly, Indians have built the desired culture of empowerment. They support each other. If one Indian reaches to the top, he tries that more and more Indians come and perform well so they can reach the level. But unfortunately, that is missing within Pakistan. Secondly, on the other hand, Pakistanis are more focused towards sustainability rather than growth. Maybe due to the mindset. I believe that is, I would take it as a collateral damage. That once you uh, build that sort of a culture where employees are suppressed, so they focus more on sustainability rather than growth. But on the contrary, Indians are not like that. And that is why they are continuously progressing. But maybe at this stage, we as a nation are stagnated.
I feel like they're very collaborative. They strengthen each other, whereas we're just like playing as one. We don't want other person to go beyond us. And we're just giving a lot of opportunities that they give to others.
I just like to take 5 seconds. Can we respectfully as an issue, please talk to the concept here. I would be very careful because this recent conflict, as you learn some differences, is not that really theirs. और ठीक है हमारी मीडिया इन्फॉर्मेटिव पास ठीक है the bullying ठीक है and they can handle do whatever we want to be there's a huge difference my best friends most of my best friends in the UK were actually Indians ठीक है और Pakistani people that and all that stuff they are happy that to be happy there is a humongous cultural difference and we tend to be the scrappy we always tend to be the scrappy and all. Let's change our mindset by the way. Because it used to be, as I said before, now people are broader ambassadors, treat them as such, train them as such, send them abroad, copy the policies of China, of South Korea, Japan, of Malaysia, right? Rather than focusing on them, because they seem to be very focused on us, especially after 6